Hello, and welcome to Here's the Thing with Robbie and Jose, where we explore relationships through a male and female perspective. With me, as always, is the lovely Robbie.
Hello, Jose.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Doing okay, doing okay. Have you ever seen the movie 40-Year-Old Virgin?
Yes.
All right, great movie, great movie.
Yes.
So there's a scene in that movie that they do as speed dating. They take Steve Carell's character out for a speed dating session because, again, he's trying to lose his virginity. But anyways, I decided to try out a speed dating thing.
You are Steve Carell in this story?
Yeah, well, I'm not exactly a virgin, but I'm a born-again virgin, maybe? Is that a thing?
No.
Every time I lose a relationship, I'm a born-again virgin. So
Sure, if you want to go with that.
I wasn't dating anybody at the time, so
So Jose Carell.
Yeah. I mean, I like the concept. Let's just put it that way. The concept is fantastic. I was skeptical going into it.
This was your first time?
This is my first time at a speeding.
So
a
you
speed
were
dating thing.
kind of a virgin. You were a speed dating virgin.
Not anymore. I'm all broken
One time
in
doesn't
now.
make you an expert
No,
now.
it's not an expert, but I'm all broken in now. So I'm ruined. Can't show my face anywhere anymore. I'm ruined. But yeah, it was I was very skeptical going into it. I didn't know, what kind of people were going to be there. I'd seen it on TV when I was younger. I would remember seeing them, and it was just at a table. So they would just it was like a row of tables, right? And then they would just kind of bounce and rotate around. So right off the bat, and it's kind of the same concept, right? But I'll get into that in just a second. But before, I just wanted to kind of say, so this was done through one of the dating apps, right? That's how I found out about it. And some of the dating apps, they do have certain events that you can do. This is one of them, or whatever. It was kind of cool. So when I went there, I liked the venue. It was really nice. It was like a social club of sorts, but for business people. So they had like their own little private rooms. The setting was nice. It was dark. It had like a lot of like wood and, like dark wood and that chestnut. And I just like the
That
feel.
old chestnut.
Yeah. But I was digging the vibe, right? And so when I first got there, so the thing started at 7. And so I get there like right around 6:55, thinking, okay, like this is appropriate, right? It's not too early, it's not too late. But when I got there, was only guys there. So I was like, what did I get myself in
Can I
trouble?
ask you a quick question right before you get into it? What was your feeling, this being your first time? Did you think it was going to be like 40-Year-Old Virgin? Like, what did you think?
I thought it was like going to be like a row of tables, and then we were just going to sit across and then just play musical chairs.
Okay.
That's what I thought was going to be.
Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No. But they don't do it like that anymore. At least this one they didn't, anyways. But when you go into the room, it was nice. They had a couple of leather chairs, some couches, and they were kind of spread around. So it was almost like again, very much like just a room where people could go mingle, let's say. So the way they did it was, well, anyways, but before that, so I get there and it's just me and like 5 other dudes. And so initially I'm like,
Girls gotta get ready.
Man.
It takes us a long time.
I was just like, holy crap. And then it turned 7 and it's still just a bunch of dudes. So I'm really starting to think at this point, like I've wasted my time because I had just gotten off of work. So I was
Could have gone
tired.
bowling with them.
Could have. And that was the other thing. So, I started making some observations right off the bat. Because I was like, I might have to leave. Because if there's like one girl, it can't be like one girl with 5 dudes. But what's interesting is that I was looking at all the other guys, and it was a mixed bag of people, right? And by no means am I making fun of them or critiquing them, but there was just some observations that I made. So there was this one guy, and he was just, his views on women were like from the 1930s. It was rough.
Sounds like a catch.
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, it was like, and I even wanted to ask him, what are you doing here? Because he was just speaking bad about every woman. Like, it was bad. And I was like, dude, take it easy. He was older. I don't know where he was from, but I I don't think originally he's from the U.S. Let's put it that way.
Okay, so maybe it's just a cultural thing.
It could have been, but I remember thinking because he was angry. It felt like, and I was just like, "What are you doing here? If you really feel this way, this probably isn't the right thing for you." But and the other thing is, where he just wouldn't stop talking to me. That was the other part. And I was like, "Dude, stop talking."
Maybe he thought he was on a date with
Maybe
you.
no,
He's
I
like,
don't
the
think
speed
so.
dating event has started.
I don't think so. But I couldn't figure out what was going on with him. I don't know. He just gave off a really, really weird vibe. But then I was looking at some of the other men there, and it was interesting because there was this one guy, and man, I just wanted to take him aside and be like, dude, we need to talk. Because he was about my age. He looked maybe even, yeah, about 40-ish. But he was dressing like what he thinks teenagers should dress like.
Oh,
Yeah, so his shirt was really baggy. It's almost like he was dressing like a teenager from the 90s.
did he have a skateboard in his hand?
He didn't,
Because
but
that
he
was
was
so five
but he
years
was
ago.
but he was yeah. That was funny. What movie is that from? You remember?
Clueless.
Clueless. Okay. So, but yeah, sort of. He was wearing Vans.
Oh,
His
really?
jeans were really baggy, and they were like, again, like young kind of. I can't describe it, but
Was it
they
like shiny?
no, and they weren't. Those weren't shiny, but they were
Shiny.
again. They weren't bad, but it was like it didn't look age appropriate. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
And then him with everything being baggy, again, it just looked like he was dressing like a teenager from the 90s, which
Oh,
was like, I know what he was trying to do. I think he was maybe going for it. And he was rather thin or whatever. So it just wasn't, nowadays everything's form fitting.
yeah.
It's slim fit or,
Ladies want to see the goods.
they really do, believe it or not. I don't know why, but yeah. So and I felt bad for the guy. I really wanted to take him aside and be like, dude, like we need to talk. Like
Aw,
we put you to the game, bro.
poor
Like
guy.
but I get it. I think because there was another guy, right, and this other guy, he was fit. Right. He was like super fit and he was also about my age,
Uh-huh.
but you could tell he works out. Now, this guy, he had a button up, but the top like 3 or 4 buttons were undone.
Jose,
Yeah, man.
was he
This
wearing
dude.
gold chains?
No, he wasn't wearing gold tape. Like I said, he was a good looking guy. I mean, as far as like conventionally, he looked pretty good, but he was just giving off that vibe, man. He had
Wow.
the shirt open and like,
He's having a hard time probably inside.
who knows? He was just, but he was out there. He was out there. He was just like, hey, this is me, man. Like giving off that vibe.
Boats and hoes.
I mean,
That's what
now,
I'm picturing.
and maybe he does well. Maybe he's doing that because women respond to that. Perhaps I don't know. Every now and again I'll unbutton 1 or 2 from the top, but again, it doesn't go into like too much. I have a diet bod, so it's not. But if I'm looking, nice and slick, I got a nice pair of jeans on. They're form fitting, nice button up and blazer. Let's say it's a dark one or whatever. Yeah, and a black shirt underneath. Yeah, I might, here and there, but this guy was like really showing it all, man. Like he was putting it out there. So, and then there was another gentleman that walked in there, and I don't know why, but he started telling me about the fact that he was a dance instructor. And so that was kind of a
What
unique.
kind of dance?
So he said he liked to teach dance and he was a dance instructor, and that he also did a thing on the side. He had a business where he had mascots and people that danced and went out to parties. And I guess
Okay, so he comes up with the like choreography for like.
I suppose why he was telling me, I don't know, because I
It
didn't
sounds like all these
initiate.
men were hitting on you, Jose.
No, I
Was
mean,
there any women? You haven't gotten to that,
we
so
haven't
now I'm
gotten to that.
worried.
But I didn't initiate any of those conversations. They just felt like they needed to tell me, and
What if they're looking at their competition? What if they're just like trying to say something about them and then find something else about you?
well, I can tell you, like for me, I was trying to play super cool. I mean, I was sitting on a leather couch. I had my legs crossed. I had a drink in one hand.
Cigar in the
I
other.
mean, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm feeling good. You know what I mean? I thought I was dressed appropriate, so I was feeling, and pretty laid back. Also, whether or not I found a date, I didn't care about that.
Mm.
Like I was doing it mostly for the experience and not necessarily for the date, which is, I don't know. We'll see. I'll tell you how that how that worked out for me, right? But so yeah, so then there was a couple other people that walked in there, and there was another guy. He kind of reminded me of Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple. Yeah, I don't know if you know what he looks like, but he reminded because he had like white hair. He had on a black suit, but then there was something about him that creeped me out. And he reminded me of, I don't know if you ever seen the movie 2 Days in the Valley.
Mm-mm.
Well, David Spader is in there. And if you ever get a chance, if you just look it up, what David Spader looked like in that movie, that's what he looked like. Because in that movie, he was an assassin and he wore a black suit and glasses, and that guy wore glasses too. There was something about
Did he have
him.
those earplugs in, like the Secret Service? Like,
No,
was it
no,
Men in Black?
but no, but there was something. There was something about him, and let me tell you what happened with him. So I'm sitting there in the corner. Again, guys talking to me, which I don't want them to talk to. Maybe that's what girls feel like
Yes, you just described
when you're just
when we go to the bar with our girlfriends. That's what the night you had.
dude,
It's like
don't
these
talk to
losers
me.
stop talking to me, man.
It would have been great if I was looking for that. Like if there was women talking to me, that would have been fantastic. But yes, like I'm sitting there and these dudes are talking to me for whatever reason. I don't know. Because there's nothing about my face that says, come talk to me. Just FYI.
I was gonna say maybe it was a strategy of theirs trying to figure out like all the people. Maybe it was like Clue, like
Maybe.
who done it?
But so I'm sitting there and then all of a sudden I see, some women start trickling in here and there, right?
Mm,
And I remember seeing this couple and I didn't get a chance to talk to them. But I don't know if they were a couple or if they were friends.
mm,
I think they were friends and they were just doing the speed dating thing together. But I
yeah.
don't know because I couldn't hear them with these dudes talking to me.
Wouldn't there be a specific speed dating event for couples?
Yeah, I mean,
Probably.
yeah, I don't know if they were swingers or not, to be honest with you, but I don't know. I don't know, but I do know that they got there. They went there together, and I heard them talking to other people about, yeah, we do these things together.
Mm.
But then, like I said, the people around me were talking, so I couldn't hear that conversation. I couldn't eavesdrop the way I wanted to. But so I remember sitting there in the corner, and some women trickle in, and there's a woman that sits down on the couch, and that one guy that's dressed in black with the black glasses and looks
Mhm.
like David Spader from 2 Days in the Valley. He just goes up to her, starts chatting her up. And I thought, okay, that's pretty slick of him. But
Mhm.
I remember hearing the conversation, and again, there was just something about him. I don't know, maybe it's the sixth sense, intuition,
Uh-huh.
whatever. But there was just something about him that I didn't. I don't know. You know what I mean? He seemed very nice
Uh-huh.
as far as like the way he was presenting himself, but I was just like, I don't know.
Psychopaths look like everybody else.
Fair enough. I don't know, but there was just something about him that gave me a weird vibe. I don't
Mm.
know if it was because he was wearing a black suit,
Mhm.
because it wasn't even like a very form fitting suit. He was older because he had like white gray hair.
Mhm.
I don't know. There was just something about him. I can't. Even
Mm.
though he didn't come off as creepy, or like when he spoke,
Mhm.
he didn't have like a creepy tone to him or anything like that. There was just something, just looking at him, I was like, something's wrong with that dude.
Mm.
Anywho, so eventually all the women came in,
Uh-huh.
right? And so the way they
How
do it,
late were they?
I mean, it was like almost 7:30 or 7:45 ish, something like that. It was pretty
They
late.
should have told them it started at 6:30.
I mean, I mean, it is what it is. Let's just put it that way.
Mm.
So you go up to the coordinator, and the coordinator will say, okay, what's your name? They take your name down. They give you a little name tag, right?
Mhm.
That you stick on your clothes. And it was cool because they ask you, okay, write down your name and what would be your theme song if you had a theme song.
Mm.
So everybody had a little something different. I didn't get to read everybody's, but mine I put Knight Rider. So because I just like the theme song Knight Rider.
Uh-huh.
And if I was walking the room, that's what I want y'all to hear when I walk into the room. Like, oh, Jose's here. It's Knight Rider. That little thing. Yeah. So anyways, but yeah, so you wrote that down, I'm assuming, to,
That's
have
cute.
better conversations. Yeah. So you do that, everybody does it, and so then they explain how it's going to work.
Mm.
So what they say is the women they put numbers around different locations. So some are on the couch, some are on like the
The
recliners,
crime
or not the
scene.
recline scene. Yeah, basically, because it was like, or like the ones you get from
Was there like an
Whataburger.
outline of a body
Yeah,
on the
it's like
carpet?
when they, yeah, it's like all the, so it's like one, two, three. So they put them all
Splatter
around.
here, splatter here.
Exactly, exactly.
I'm not laughing at murder. I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
no, yeah, it was very similar to that. So what they do is they position women in different areas, and it's the men that rotate around.
Mm.
So and so what they do is they give the guys these little cards, and you write your name and you can write your phone number, and that's what it's intended for. So if you, as you're doing the speed dating, if you click with somebody and you have like 5 minutes to click with them, but
They
if
give
you
you like a
click with
business
them,
card, basically.
basically, and then you
Yeah.
give it to them, and if they want to call you, then they have the option to call you.
Nice.
So so what ends up happening is, so I sat down, or I was already sitting down, or no, I'm sorry. I got up and I went to the restroom right before it started because I was like, okay, once it starts, I can't go. So I went, and then when I came back, all the chairs had been taken up. So the guys were already sitting wherever they were sitting, and so it was uneven. So there were
Dang, they
more.
stole your seat.
Well, it was more men than it
Dang.
was. It was one too many men that
Oh.
women didn't have. I think there was like 11 women and 12 guys, something like that, or
Okay.
it might have been less than that. But anyways, there was no way for me to go. So the dude was like, "Well, just hang out here, and then I'll just put
That's
you
a
in the
good
rotation."
turnout.
For well, it should have been even.
No, but I'm just saying, like, there was 12 women for you to meet. That's a good turnout
Yeah,
for a night.
yeah, for sure. But yeah, and I think what happened is one of the guys showed up, and he wasn't like, he didn't sign up for it. He just showed up.
It was the Men in Black. It was the,
Maybe
that
so,
guy.
maybe so. But I wish they had
He's
better
like, I'm
quality
here on a
control
special
on that.
mission.
Yeah. Yeah, with his little glass. I'm telling you, I don't know why, but he creeped me out. So then I had to sit out the first round, which was not so bad for me because I got to observe other people, and I got to see, because I couldn't hear their conversations, but I can see their body language, how they were
Was
interacting.
the guys facing you, or was it the woman? Or
Well, they were all like take your living room. Like some people were sitting on the chairs.
you could
some
see
people,
the women's
yeah,
faces?
like I would just
Okay.
sit there and I could just see everybody interacting. So I was just kind of looking to see who was jiving and who was this, and then obviously the next round, because I think each date or each session was like 5 minutes, which is not really a lot of time for you
really
to get to
short.
know somebody.
You basically have 2.5 minutes each.
I mean, pretty much.
We try to cram a lot into 1 hour shows.
Yeah. and it depends on how the conversation goes, because you don't want to say the same thing over and over. I'm sure for the females,
Yeah.
it's like exhausting, because if you hear the same, like, what do? You got to start out with
Even
that.
having to say the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I'm this. I'm this. I'm this. I having to say it 12 times could be exhausting. So I realized that, and then so I tried to switch it up a little bit as much as I could, but whatever. So I sat down, and I met a lot of interesting women.
Did anyone comment about your night rider?
No, not a one person said or could care less about my night. Right?
That was probably for the gentlemen more for the ladies.
I think so. I think it was a conversation piece, and if because I remember I should have been paying attention to that more. And afterwards, I was like, I missed an opportunity.
Did you see any of the women's that had a cute one?
That's what I'm saying. I remember seeing one, but I can't remember what she put on there. And I wish I would have paid attention more so that I could have, brought that out.
Like Sesame Street or
Yeah.
something.
You're right. But it was cute. And so but there were a couple of observations, right? And I'll go into some of the conversation pieces that we had. But I will say this, right? There was this one woman, and she looked 40. Seriously, she looked 40 and barely 40.
Okay.
But she told me she was 60 years old. And I was like, holy crap. If you would have seen this lady, Robbie, there's no way you would have guessed that she was 60 years old. I mean, she didn't have wrinkles. She had white hair, but nowadays that's kind of a trend too. So
Yeah.
you never know if it's just, gray or if they painted it that way. But I remember when she told me she was fit, no wrinkles. And she's like, yeah, I'm 60 years old. And I'm like, whoa.
Wait, hold on. What was the age? Was there any age bracket for this event?
See, that's what I don't know. This is what I think happened there. So I put in the dating app, I put my age, and I think that there is, but I don't know for sure.
Because all the ones that I've seen, there is an age bracket. It's usually around like 9 years. So I'm surprised
Maybe.
that a 60-year-old woman is at this event.
Well,
If
again, you
it's,
can't tell that she's 60. You
well, I
really
know,
couldn't.
but she's
Well, and, and,
like,
and even for me, like, me, I like older women anyway. So,
I'm just
but I hear
saying,
what you're
like,
saying,
yeah,
though.
I mean, like, if I were to go to an event and let's say the age bracket was 35 to 45, and then some guy showed up, he's like, I'm 26, I'd be like, dude, what are
What
you
do you do?
doing
That's
here?
what I'm saying. I think that they take that into consideration when they offer you the event. I think, but I don't know. I don't know the dating app. I don't know how they calculate or why they offered
What
it.
was the age bracket of the people that you saw, if you had to guess, besides her?
Well, that's what I was about to go into.
Oh,
So there was a 60-year-old woman that looked 40. So that was, for me, that was
so she was
fantastic.
50.
So she was 60, but
No, I mean, but we're cutting the
oh yeah,
difference.
yeah, yeah. We'll call her 50. Yeah. And then there was a 42-year-old that looked 29. Like literally, she looked 29. And then
Was
there
this the
was,
fountain of youth?
I'm
Where
telling
did
you, it
you?
was weird. And then there was a 30-year-old, and I swear she looked 19. I
These are
remember.
all aliens that the Men in Black dude brought
That's
with
what I'm
him.
saying. You're right because even the one that 30-year-old that I think she was 32 actually, and but she looked 19. And I remember talking to her and thinking I'm just talking to you just to talk to you. She was, don't get me wrong, she was gorgeous, but what am I going to do with the 19-year-old? Seriously, what
But
am I
she
going to?
wasn't
Well,
19.
that's what I'm saying. But in my mind,
You
that's
thought she was 19.
yes,
Oh, so
that's
you don't find out the age until when?
well, like they don't advertise it, so you have to ask them. If you ask
Okay,
them,
so you
it's
initially sat down, thought
let
it
me
was a
let me
19-year-old.
give you
You're
another
like, blah,
tip,
blah,
Robbie.
blah.
Let me give you a tip, okay? And even for men, you don't ask their age
No,
ever.
I
If they
know,
give
but
it
what
to
I'm saying
you,
is you
great.
sat down, thought she was 19, didn't want to listen to anything she said. It's like, what's the point? And then you said, how old are you?
No, so it wasn't like that. Like I didn't want to hear anything that she said. I
And you're
was
like, blah,
interested.
blah,
No,
blah.
no, no. I mean, like I listened and I like, but I knew that this was it couldn't go anywhere. Even if it was a fling, which I really wouldn't want to do,
Mm,
it's not going to go anywhere because she looks 19, maybe
mm,
20. Again, what's the end game for that?
mm.
Unless we make an arrangement where I get old and I leave her all my money. Sure, I guess I don't know, but so when I was talking to her, I remember, interacting and stuff. She brought it up.
Mm.
She's the one that she was just like, hey, she said something like, how old do you think I am or something?
Uh-huh.
So, and I'll get into that one a little bit, how that started up. But yeah, she's the one that brought up, she's like, how old do you think I am? And I say, I guess guys were asking her the same
Uh-huh.
question.
Uh-huh.
And I
So
said,
she
I
was
don't
already
know.
annoyed by that point, you mean?
No, she wasn't annoyed. She was
Oh.
actually like at a fun thing. She was just like,
Oh.
how old do you think I am?
Oh, yeah. I guess
And
it is flattering. If anyone thought I
yeah.
was 19, I'd be
That's
like,
what I'm saying. Like, how annoyed are you gonna be at that? Like, I need to see your license, ma'am. when you go,
ladies,
when you
don't do that. Don't give him your address.
but but she asked me and I said, oh, and I was being polite. I was like 23? And she was like, nope. And she's like, I'm
Why would you
32.
say 23 if she looked
Well, I was
19?
trying to like even make sure that it goes up. I was trying to be as
Well,
nice and
19 is legal.
yeah, it is. I mean, they're all yeah, they are. But still,
And you're like, I don't know,
I said
12?
I said 23, and then she said, no, I'm 32, and I was like, oh wow, like okay, that's amazing.
Uh-huh.
And
And then you
then
started paying attention.
no, 32 is still too young for me to be
Yeah.
honest with you, but I was just like, yeah, like it really did feel, and all those three women were sitting in the same little area.
They were
Let's
drinking
say.
that same Kool-Aid.
Dude, I don't know, but whatever they're drinking, man, I want some.
I'm happy for them. That's amazing.
Like the 6-year-old, seriously, I can't.
I can picture her a very striking white haired with like a crop bob, like real sharp.
No, it was longer and like
Oh,
straighter.
well,
Yeah, and she just looked fantastic. The 32-year-old did too, and so did the 42-year-old. The 42-year-old, like for real, that one really took me back because that one was more age appropriate for me. So I was like, oh, wow, look at that. All right. So you get the best of both worlds. They look young and they're gonna get all your references. They're gonna understand Smurfs, Fraggle Rock, Flintstones,
I
G.I.
saw a
Joes.
Fraggle Rock like a enamel pin online the other day, and I wanted to buy it because I'm like, oh,
Fraggle Rock was the best.
Yeah.
It was, but anyways, that's the only issue that I ever have is if I do date somebody younger, if they don't know the references, I'm like, man, come on.
Now I have the Fraggle Rock song stuck in my head.
Fraggle Rock was awesome. Fraggle Rock was awesome. So yeah, so we moved forward, right? So I sat down with this one lady, and she was a firefighter. So I was like, and it reminded me again a little bit of 40-Year-Old Virgin when that one lady
Yeah,
was,
what's up?
yeah, trying to get back on the saddle again or something, however she puts it. You ever put on some rouge?
What's her name? Gina?
Think so.
Yeah. Oh, Gina over there.
But no, she was a very sweet lady. But she was a firefighter, and I think she said,
How much can you bench press?
no, she was lovely. And I think she actually said that because it was physically demanding, she switched
Yeah.
over to becoming a dispatcher now. So she was
Still.
a dispatcher, but yeah, she was a
She's doing
firefighter.
good work.
Yeah, she was like a firefighter slash paramedic, and I have the utmost respect for those people. But yeah,
Yeah.
it was actually pretty cool.
They
And I was
see the
just like,
worst of
oh
the
yeah,
worst.
yeah. But she was really sweet. We talked for a little bit. Again, we talked mostly about her job, and then they're like, okay, time to rotate. And I'm like, man, we're just getting started.
Yeah.
Met a couple of nurses. There was another lady that she was a nurse. Another lady, she was a teacher. Again, those conversations, they didn't really go anywhere. And so as I was rotating around, then that's when it started getting interesting, right? So when I sat down, there was this, and here's the other one. So there was this one lady, and she was probably, I don't know, either my age or a little older. She might have even been 50. She had like blondish hair and stuff. And you know me, I like older women. So that's not a problem for me. Like I really like older women. We started chatting and we were having a really good chat. And I was like, all right, like this is maybe. But then she asked me what I did for a living because she was telling me about her husband. And her husband apparently was not a good guy.
Her ex-husband?
Yeah, her ex-husband.
okay.
Her ex-husband. Sorry. Yeah, her ex-husband.
I was
Sorry.
like,
Woo,
whoa.
I'm glad you caught that. Wasn't that kind of speed dating? Yeah, so
You went to that wrong event. The other couple that showed up?
Yeah, he likes to watch. No, that wasn't that. But yeah, it was her ex-husband. And then I was like, all right. And since she shifted the conversation, she was like, so what do you do for a living? And I was like, oh. And I told her, and we had the same profession. And I was like, dang it. And she was like, yeah, that's why he was such a bad person, blah, 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 blah.
Wait, the
So-
job was the reason why he was a
No,
bad person?
but she had already made that connection. So it was hard because when she said that, she was just like, yeah, my ex-husband did exactly that too. And that's why he was a blah, 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 blah. So it kind of put me, like I was done at that point. I already knew it.
That seems...
So look at it this way: if I'm a cop and then I'm talking to a lady and she's like, "Oh yeah, my ex-husband's a cop. He's really abusive, blah blah," and then I tell her, "Hey, I'm a cop," she's not gonna be like, "Yay, I get to go." Even though not all cops do it,
Yeah.
but you know what I'm saying? You formulate a bias because now you've associated those two things
That
together.
still seems unfair.
I told you matters of the heart are not fair, but I was just like, dang it, because I really thought, So at that point, I was like, it's not going to happen. Because she was like, yup, he does it and this, that. And she was using some of the same lingo that I use. And I was like, oh, it's not going to work. So, but anyway, she was really sweet and she was really pretty. And I really did think possibly had a chance. But anyways, it didn't work out. So then, as I was rotating around, I ended up going to the lady that was 60 that looked 40. And again, she initiated the conversation. I don't know if that's just an icebreaker for them, but she was just like, I think that was like the first or second question. Like, how old do you think I am?
Because she knows that she
Yeah,
looks
she
good.
does. Absolutely. And I was just like,
19?
Well, that's a trap question.
Yeah.
that's you better make sure that, like 5, you look 5.
Most people are going to try to be nice and they're going to round down regardless of what they think.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. It's ladies, don't ask that question. Please don't ask that. Even if you are young looking, please don't ask that question.
What if the guy says, wow, you look really young. How old are you? Is it can we say at that point, how old do you think I am?
I don't know.
He's kind
Did
of
you like that question?
I'm just saying, if a guy says, you look really young, how old are you? I may follow up with, how old do you think I am? Because you're kind of initiating that I look really young.
Fair enough, but that's what I'm saying. Guys in general should stay away from the age question. If y'all bring it up, y'all bring it up. But that's what I'm saying. I'm asking you, how would you like it if somebody asked you how old you were, even in passing or playing around?
I'm at the point right now where I don't care about my age, so I can answer it freely, but I understand that that won't always be the case.
Yeah, I mean, for guys, it's different because I'm, every now and again now I'm getting a little more self conscious because I'm on the wrong side of
I feel
40.
like if
But
you, for women, it feels like if you're a little bit older, you would take that as almost like a jab. If some guy were to say, "How old are
I
you?"
mean,
I could see that.
anytime. That's what I'm saying. It's a question that is, if you don't know, you need to
But I
know.
mean, if
You
you're
better
like
ask somebody.
29, like, why would you care if anyone asks how old you are? I'm just
Again,
saying it feels like a dig once you become a woman of a certain age. If a guy were to say that to me, it'd be like, I would be a little bit offended of like, are you trying to say I look old that you have to ask me?
you stay away from that
Yeah.
question.
Did
Always
you
stay
hear any of the
away.
guys asking that? Is that like a normal question that
No,
people
but
were asking?
but something tells me that that came up a lot because by
Yeah.
the time I got to that section of extraordinarily young looking
Mm,
women, it was already towards the end.
mm.
So I was doing all right, and I was checking out the competition. Like I said, it wasn't. There was a few in there that I was like, oh yeah, they probably do well, but I wasn't worried
How
about
about the
it.
guy with the baggy pants? I'm going to call him Steve because
Call
that
him
sounds like a
Steve. He
Steve.
does sound like a Steve.
Did Steve leave with someone?
Well, you don't. I guess
Oh,
you
you didn't.
could leave with somebody, but well, I'll get to
What if
that in
you?
just a
Oh,
second. But
okay.
I don't think he did. So, but I don't know. I didn't see what happened to Steve. Well, I'll tell you about it.
Okay.
So then I went to her, and I was sitting down. She started out with that, and as soon as she told me her age, I was like, "Oh wow, that's super cool. Like you don't look 60 at all, not even a little bit." She's like, "Yeah, I know, blah blah." And we talked. We went back and forth a little bit. I think sometimes I'll say this, and it depends on what you're there for. For me, I was just there to have a conversation.
Mm,
I just wanted to do the experience or whatever. And I think sometimes you get that vibe from that other person too. Not
hmm.
that you're not attracted to them or not that you're not,
But it's not as serious. You're just going
right,
there for it's a fun night,
right,
meet new people.
right. So you
You're not
just
going to be
kind
like, I'm going
of,
to find my husband tonight.
yeah, you're just there to, shoot the shit, so to speak, right? And
Yeah.
just kind of chatting with other people. And so we talked for a little bit, and I was like, "All right, cool, cool." And that one section was a little warm, so I will say so. So I'm pretty sure I started like sweating a little bit, but what are you gonna do? It is what it is. So then, and so I rotate to the next lady, and that's the one that was 32 that looked, 19,
19.
right? Now, she and the other lady that was 42 were there together, right? So I guess they were there supporting each other, and they were doing the speed dating thing together, and they were near a couch. So it was kind of like what your setup. It was two chairs and a couch, and so the two dudes would sit on the couches
Uh-huh.
and or on the chairs, and then they would sit on the couch.
Hmm.
So they were really close in close proximity. So you could hear sometimes each other's conversations, but the point being is that they were there.
That's got to be embarrassing. I wouldn't want to be sitting that close to another date where they can hear every stupid thing that I'm saying. Like,
Don't say stupid things.
well, I probably would say something stupid.
Nah, you'd do good. What are you talking about? This would be great. But but yeah, so I sat next to her, and then we started chatting again. Even if she, even 32 is still too young, but
Mm-hmm.
it was fun. So we were talking about like I tend to switch the conversation up at that point because if I know that it's not gonna be anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
It just can't be. Um, then I just start asking questions about them that has nothing to do with romantic. So I started asking about their dating life or her dating life and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. So she started going into it a little bit and telling me the different challenges and blah blah blah. So we talked for a little bit, and it was like, all right, cool. And so they rotated one more time or whatever. So I was like, all right, cool. So when we rotated, I sat down next to the 42-year-old that
Mm-hmm.
looked 30 or whatever. And so I sat down next to her, and that was the most interesting one out of all of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because she was, and we're going to call her Malibu, just so that I don't have to call her the 42-year-old, but we'll call her Malibu. And she was upset because at the location that we were at, she wanted, I forgot what it was, but it required rum,
Uh-huh.
and she wanted Malibu, but they didn't have Malibu. So she
Isn't
was
that the
upset.
worst when you go somewhere and they don't have like the one liquor or whatever that you want? You like this one beer and you're like, oh, we're all out of that. Like, how could you
Or
run
they
out
don't
of Bud
serve
Light?
it. Yeah, like I'm with you. I'm with you. But she was upset about that. She was like, I wanted Malibu, but they don't have
I feel
Malibu.
like about that about Tequila Rose. I love Tequila Rose, but they don't have it anywhere. It's too obscure, I guess.
I mean, I don't really have a preference when it comes to any kind of spirits. So when I get an old fashioned, which is all I drink, I mean, I'll take bottom shelf. I don't care. Doesn't matter to me. Whatever. It's all the same. I'm not. I don't
Bottom
drink it
feeder.
enough for me to like be able to tell the difference between.
Oh, I
Like
could
I'm
tell the
not.
difference between something really cheap, like the house stuff. It's not good.
It gets you there though.
Yeah, but it's going to be a hard road to get there. It's not going to be good.
It's the as long as we get there. I don't care how we get there, but yeah, we'll call her Malibu. And
Okay.
quite honestly, I remember looking at her name, and I don't even know if I remember. I think I know what it is, but again, I don't want to say it out loud. But so yeah, I was talking to Malibu, and she did that thing initially where she tells me how much she doesn't need me.
Great starter.
And I would love, even if somebody were to write in why that seems to be such an important thing to get out the gate to tell people. But she was like, I have my own home, I have a career, like I have all these other stuff. Like I don't need a man. And I'm like, okay, cool.
Do you think that some of that is probably because guys have told them that in the past?
I'm
I've been with guys
assuming.
that they act like if we broke up, I would crumble and die. And it's like, no, bro, like it's not like that. And so maybe it's just a bunch of dudes that treat them like you ain't nothing without me. And now they feel like they have to prove it to everybody they meet.
I guess, but that's what I'm saying. I don't know why that's such a. I don't know why you would at the gate say that.
But that's what I'm saying. It may be that.
You know what I mean? Because I've been taking care of myself for a long time too, but I could never imagine a time where if I'm on a date with a woman and I'm like, I don't need a woman. I know how to do all this. I don't know how to do all that. I don't need a woman at all. But I'm here trying to get you for some reason. But I don't know it. And I'm not
Trying to
saying
get
she was
you, Malibu.
right. But for me, and like you said, maybe it is past trauma. I'm just trying to understand why they lead with that. Because it sometimes it comes off a little angry, but I'm sure it's not meant that way.
Yeah, if
I'm
she
just
starts it with just so you know,
right, right.
like it's probably pretty angry.
I would imagine like the equivalent of a guy is if a guy were to start out by saying, "Oh, I date a lot of women. Like I don't really need to be here. Like I could have been on another date somewhere." I was like, okay, I don't know why you're telling me this, but you know what I'm saying? Like I don't usually come to these functions because like girls are constantly asking me out. But anyways, what do like tell me about
My
you?
God,
You know
what
what
a
I'm saying?
douchebag.
But that's what I'm saying. That's what it feels like. It's like you're telling me how much you don't need me. So
But
are
you're
you
here and you need
well,
me.
well, it's not even the need. Like we talked before, like you don't need arms to live, but
Yeah.
it helps. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It really does. Again, you don't need legs to live either, but it makes life a little
So
easier.
she said it angrily.
Well, again, I don't even if she was kind of telling me. So we were talking, and she was just like, "Oh, whatever you have, I've got that beat." And I'm not saying that it was angry, but I was like, "Oh, okay, what does that mean?" She was like, "Well, I'm already in my 40s. I have my own home. I have my own career. I have my own money. I have my own whatever." And I'm like, "Okay, I do too, but okay, I'm not sure why we're
What a
establishing
weird way
that."
for her to phrase it, though. Like, whatever you have, I'm better. And let me tell you right now why I'm better.
Yeah, and that's really what the point that she was trying to get across. I don't think it was in a bad way, in
Oh,
weirdly enough, but that's exactly what she was trying to convey. Like there's nothing that you like, I don't know, maybe if I would have said, "Oh, I'm a millionaire," maybe that like I'm one upping
she
you.
was like, I'm a
Yeah,
billionaire.
exactly. I'd have been like, okay, never mind. But I don't know. But it really did feel a little bit at the beginning, anyways,
Mm,
like it was a competition, and I was like, I'm not here
that sounds
to.
like something from her past, probably.
Maybe so, maybe so. But it threw me back a little bit because I'm like, okay, like I don't know why you're telling me all this, but
Mm.
but I'm assuming there's a purpose to it. Um, But then, so as we started talking, so I already knew right off the bat, right? When a woman tells me from the get go that she is, that's the way I took it.
Mm.
She's not interested. I'm like, all right, cool. So I guess we're just gonna talk
She
because,
said, "Thank you." Next.
yeah, pretty much, right? And that's kind of how the vibe that I got, right?
Mm.
And probably I will say this, right? So if I'm the last dude on the, and I was on, and so you've already gone through 10 of these,
Mm-hmm.
and they're all hitting on you, or I don't know how they're behaving. Maybe I
Mm.
should have asked, like, how are the rest of the dudes? I didn't ask that question. But maybe by that point, she's already fed up, right? And she's like, I don't need another dude trying to impress me. Maybe it was the guy with the shirt open and showing off his.
Did you hear anything that he said?
No, but
Oh
maybe if
man.
he was just like, I'm this and I'm that, and I hang out with Mark Cuban or something. I don't know. I don't know what he
I don't know
said.
why my mind's going there. But I picture him being like in like a pyramid scheme kind of thing. Like he's trying to sell, like, you know what I mean?
It might be. I don't know.
I
It was.
don't. I'm picturing all the people you're describing. It's
Yeah,
just
it was. I
funny.
mean, he was again. He was he's a Caucasian guy. He had
Uh-huh.
blonde hair. Again, he was maybe like 5'10". Again, he was fit.
What if his name was like Ken? Did he look like a Ken?
Yeah, he looked like a Johnny maybe or a Ken or I don't know, Biff. I don't know.
Biff? Oh, what was old Biff doing there? Get your damn hands off.
Make like a tree and get out of here.
Oh, Biff. Okay, so she's pissed off because Biff and Steve and all that, and
Well,
now
that's what I'm
you're
saying.
the last
I
one.
don't. I don't want to describe her as being pissed off. I want to describe her as maybe, like done, kind of.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
I totally can
Yeah?
understand.
Yeah. So I'm not passing judgment because again, she's already gone through 10 other dudes. I'm the last one there, and I'm sure she's probably thinking, okay, this guy, because you have the benefit of knowing me.
Right.
But if you didn't know me and you saw me walk into a room, God only knows what you would think about me. I don't know. Hey, one of these days, I'm going to ask a woman, like, what do you think when you first see me? I'm sure it's going to be different for everybody, but God only knows what she was thinking. Again, I'm dressed, I'm wearing a blazer, nice jeans, button up, you know, I have long hair, and like, I don't know what she's thinking. I don't know. But nevertheless, I sit down and so I'm like, okay, she's angry. So the last thing, or fed up or whatever, right? The last thing I want to do is try to hit on her or try to do. So I just stopped. I'm not going to do that. So, but I was interested and I kind of did want to know why was she that angry or why was she giving off this vibe, whatever it was negative nonetheless, even if it wasn't intended that way. So I started asking her, I was like, so I said, so what's it like for you to date? Nowadays, like, what's it like? And then obviously that opened up the floodgates.
Yeah.
And so she just started going in on, how the dating apps suck and how the men behave inappropriately. And then she started telling me about, like, look at these dating apps. So then she busted out her phone and started showing me the different profile pics. Again, having her pet peeve was if you're going to be on there shirtless, that's a no-go. Bathroom pics, that's a no-go. Gym pics, that's a no-go.
I like this girl. I'm like,
she was
check,
actually
check,
she was
check.
actually really, really cool. And so she's going off and she's telling me and she's showing me pictures. She's like, look at this, right? And they're like, and I'm looking at it like, okay, I see what you're saying because some of them were like, they were like hunting. She doesn't like it when they have dead animals.
Yeah.
On the
Me
profile
too.
pic, which by the way, I've seen women with dead animals on the profile pic too. So that's a thing apparently. And I'm like, I live in the city, so I'm like, oh, she could take
I'm
care of
just saying
herself.
everything
So.
she's saying I agree with
Well,
thus far.
yeah, I mean, and she did kind of remind me a little bit of you in that sense, but then and that's when it was also revealed that she and the 30-year-old, I don't know what I would call her. I'll call her glasses because she wore glasses. So her and glasses were friends, and then and so that's where it came out. I was like, oh, they're friends or whatever. And then she was talking about how glasses is much different than she is at approaching men. Like she's a little more, maybe because she's younger, perhaps she'll like, she does actually go out and pursue dudes or whatever. So she's a little more whatever. Whereas
Malibu's like over it.
yeah,
She's
Malibu's like, no, I'm not doing that. And actually, that's what really triggered it. So she said on there, I don't chase men. And I was like, what does that mean?
Mm.
And she was like, well, I don't like initiating the conversation. And if we're dating, if you're not texting me, I'm not going to chase you. And so I really started getting really curious about that. And I was like, chasing, like, what are you talking about? Like, you can say good morning to somebody. You can initiate a conversation. That doesn't mean you're chasing them. That just means you're initiating a conversation. But she, at least if I understood it correctly, was basically saying, I'm not going to chase you. You need to pursue me. I'm not going to pursue you. And I don't know where that came from, but that was a big point of contention for her. Just like, I do not chase men. Either they come after me or I'm just not going to bother with it.
How hot was this lady?
She
Because
was
she's probably pretty hot.
she was very pretty.
Okay.
She was fit. She was when I was talking to her, I thought, man, this would be somebody that I could possibly whatever, but she's already given me a vibe that she doesn't
Yeah.
particularly care for me. However, and I will say this, and this is where I have to stop myself, because she was doing certain things that women do when they're interested.
Okay.
So it was throwing me off a little bit. Because she would make it a point to touch me, and then one time she wanted a high five, and she initiated.
How many
the high
drinks
five.
has she had at this point?
That point, I don't know.
Because I was just gonna say, like, yes, you're right, but if I'm like 3 drinks in, I'm probably high fiving a lot of people at the bar.
No, she wasn't high fiving everybody.
Well, I'm
She
just
was-
saying, like, it could have been a.
Well, yeah, that part I don't know. What I do know is that when we started chatting, whatever, we started it up, and then they announced like, okay, this is the end, so no more rotating. You're done. And I was like, oh, sweet. I get to stay here and keep on chatting to, and
Malibu.
Not to say anything bad about any other women there, because they all were very lovely. But she was, at least in my eyes, one of the prettiest one there, right?
Aww.
And she really was, and she was a little more interesting because she was right around my age. She had her stuff together, which for me, honestly, that makes a difference. Actually, nowadays, I'm not saying that if they're not financially stable that I would like get away from them, but I'm a dude and I have my stuff together, so I don't know why that it doesn't matter. I know it doesn't work the other way around. Like if a woman has her stuff together, she wants a dude to have his stuff together too. She doesn't want to be paying
Even
for
if a woman
everything.
doesn't have her stuff together, she wants a guy that has his stuff together.
That's true. That's true. But so we started talking again. I was getting somewhat mixed signals from her, so I didn't know how to take that. But I wasn't trying to think like that. So I was like, all right, we're just gonna keep it. We're just gonna keep on finding out about her struggles as a lady dating in this day and age. So we started talking. I mentioned the podcast, and she was like, "You better not talk about me." I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna talk about you just so that you know." So, she wrote it down and everything, and I don't know if she'll listen to it, but yeah, she was the most interesting. So then, after that, we chatted for a little bit longer. She showed me more profile pics of dudes that just were not making the cut. And then her friend, and this is what was interesting though. So yeah, I almost forgot about this. So I'm sitting there and I'm talking to her, and again, her friend is on the other side. So the guy that was glasses, yeah, glasses is sitting there, and then so the guy that was sitting there beforehand, I guess she wasn't feeling him, and he knew it too. So when they said it was over, he got up and left. What was interesting was, so me and Malibu were talking, and Glasses was sitting there by herself. This guy walked up, and he was a younger guy. He walked up and sat right next to her and started chatting her up. And I just thought, man, that's pretty bold of him. Like, but again, she was also, Glasses was really pretty too. Like she was like super duper pretty. But he just started chatting her up, and I just thought, man, this dude just sat here. Nobody invited him.
Was he a part of the event or somewhere else?
No, he was part of the event.
Oh, okay.
But even then, she didn't seem that interested in him. But he was still
He's
going
like, I'm gonna
for
go
it.
for it,
He's
yeah.
gonna go for it. That's what I'm saying. He was better than me, because like once I get that vibe that it's a no go, I'll still chat with you, but I'm just not going to. Like,
Did it work out for him? Was the vibe light between?
no, it was not working out for him.
She's
he
like,
was
didn't I
trying.
already tell you? I
Yeah,
don't
pretty
like
much.
you.
And you know what it could have been though. I will say this: Glasses. She wasn't super tall, but that other dude was also short. He was either my height or shorter, and that might have maybe played into it. I don't know. I'm making assumptions. I don't know. Maybe she just wasn't feeling him, whatever. But
Glasses, if you're listening, write and let us know. Why didn't you like the creepy guy that you already told no to?
and that's the thing, he wasn't creepy.
Well, I'm
He
just
was,
saying,
yeah, I know, but
if
he
I
was
said
like,
no to you and you still come back and basically assert yourself like that, it's a little bit
I
like,
mean,
come
he
on,
was a
dude.
young guy. He was a good looking kid as far as I was concerned. But
Mm.
again, she just wasn't having it. So what was interesting, we were chatting. She wrote down the podcast name and everything, and I told her, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna talk about it just because of blah blah blah. And then they started talking about food. They were like, hey, you want to go? So Glasses and Malibu are talking about, you want to go get some food and this, that, and the other. And again, I got up and maybe I misread the vibe because a part of me wanted to say, let's, because it was in an area in Dallas that has a bunch of restaurants.
You could walk
So
to.
yeah, it's right there. I don't know what's called, the West End place or whatever, but you know how there's just a ton of them. There's like
Yeah.
6 or 7. And so I started to say, y'all want to have, y'all want to keep the conversation going and go have it. But
Let's take this party elsewhere.
pretty
The
much,
three of you.
pretty much. I thought the way I calculated in my head, I had a 50-50 chance of them saying yes. And actually maybe a 60-40. I felt like if I had asked, they would have said, yeah, let's go, keep up, keep having fun, partying and chatting. But I didn't do it. So because I
Oh,
was also a little tired. Again, I had worked all day long. So, and I was going based off the initial vibe
yeah.
that, like, yeah, thanks for sitting down, but it's not going to happen kind of thing. So I don't trip when things like that happen.
This is a good opportunity to hear Malibu's side of the story. Malibu, if you're listening, why don't you email us and give us your account of what happened here? I'm really curious to hear from her.
I mean, yeah, maybe she's in the ether. I don't know where she went to, but yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't have any regrets. Like I don't, and I didn't give her my number or anything like that. So I figured. But again, she already said she wasn't a chaser, so she might not. She might not
Maybe
look it
she
up.
wanted more from you. Maybe you weren't doing enough to show her you were interested. If she just gave you the whole speech about you're going to chase me and then you don't,
Don't chase. So,
bro.
so what you're saying is, next time I need to bring you along with it.
Yes, I will tell you what to do. Or I'll invite
I'll
myself
tell
to go
Malibu,
out.
hold on for a second. Let me converse with my.
Yeah, I'll go over there and I'll tell Malibu, hey, let's all go out for pizza. I'll be the one to put it on the line.
No, she was a very again, not just from a physical and superficial. She was very, very nice and very pretty young lady.
So, what do you think you learned overall from the speed dating event? Like I said, what your intentions going into it, not knowing, coming out of it?
I feel like I liked it because the first reason I like it is because I'm much better in person than I would ever be over the phone or even in text, especially in text. I'm not that good. I'm okay in holding up a conversation via text. But in person, that's where you get my full flavor. My pics don't do me any
The
justice.
23 flavors of Dr. Pepper.
I'm trying to
over
tell
here.
you, but yeah, so just my pictures aren't all that great. Again, I'm not super handsome. I'm not super tall. But if I get you, and sit down with you, I'm telling you, I'm much better in person. I don't know. It's like one of those rock bands. I'm trying to think of what rock band that they always say is, like 21 Pilot. 21 Pilot, they say that like they're much better in concert than they are over the radio. Like the radios are like the songs are great, but if you go to their concert, it's like a whole like, man, this is much better than what they're playing on the radio. So I'm like 21 Pilot. That's what we're but so I learned that I do like the face-to-face interaction much more than trying to do it via the dating apps. You know what's funny? I'll put it to you this way. I was talking to a friend of mine, and she's a female, and she was saying, yeah, and she just got on the dating apps. Like, I mean, just like maybe within the last 2 or 3 weeks. And she was just like, yeah, I have already 3,000 likes. And I was like, I have like 2 likes. Yeah. And she showed me. So she was like, look. And she showed me her phone, and it was like 380 something likes already. I was like, holy crap. How does that even happen? I didn't even know there was that many people on a dating app.
She
Like it
must
was,
be a beautiful girl.
she's lovely, but I was just like, dang. And I was like, I got two. And then I showed her mine. She's like, oh,
Well, didn't
wow.
they say that guys, it's like a numbers game? Don't they just like on every profile and whatever comes back?
Sort of, but even certain guys won't swipe right on certain people. Like if they really don't fancy them, they're not gonna swipe right. They just they just won't. They
I've
just won't.
heard guys say that that's all they do. They just swipe, 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 and just see who comes back.
That's a bad way. That's a bad way of
Oh,
doing
yeah, I
it.
don't condone that. I'm just
That's
saying a lot
just
of guys,
if they're doing that, then yeah, I don't know. I just think that's a bad idea
yeah, they
in
just say
general.
it's like a numbers game and like just see who messages back or whatever. And then if you're
It
not
is
interested,
an
you don't have to.
it is a numbers game, and that's what I'm saying. In if you look at it in the respects of what I'm talking about, so if
Mhm.
you're a really good looking dude, for sure you're gonna get a bunch of hits back. But for the rest of us, for us average Joes, like it's a number games in the sense that you can't just like if you see somebody that's very pretty, right? And you're like, oh, she's really pretty, and you read her profile, and she's like, oh, she likes the same movies I like. She
Mhm.
likes the
She
same
believes in
things.
big feats.
Yeah, like all of that. Like she lives in Bigfoot. She watches the Marvel movies. She likes rom coms. She likes to read the same books. Like on paper, everything is clicking. Like you can send her a message, hey, so and so, and you can even go into depth and like talk about, I read your profile. I'm also a Marvels fan. I also like to do this, blah blah blah. Like you can go and do like just a huge paragraph
Mm,
and then never hear from her because if she doesn't like you, she's not gonna swipe right. So you have to turn it into a numbers game. There's just no way around it.
yeah.
And I've done that before too, where I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna send it to her, and then crickets for the next 2 or 3. And then what's really bad in some of the dating profiles on the apps, you know that they viewed you. So once they viewed you, you know
Mhm.
that they looked at you
It's
and
like
said, nah.
LinkedIn.
Yeah, I
They
guess. I
could
don't
tell you
know.
like who viewed your
Okay,
profile.
so then it's just
Yeah.
like that. And so once they viewed you and they didn't respond and you took all that time, then so I'll say this to ladies. That's the reason why, because that's another gripe that they have is like, oh, I'm just getting a high. That's
Hmm.
all they're saying is high. And it's like, well, what else do you want me to do? Well, tell me about this. And then you do that, but you don't respond. You got 3,000 likes. You're telling me you're going to read every single one of those? No. You're going to look to see which ones you're attracted to, and then maybe you'll see what they have to say. But it's a much different world between men and women on the dating apps. Like I'm telling you, it's bad. But yeah, it was a good. So I like the in person. I like the fact that I had like 10 dates in one night. That was
Hmm.
also very impressive. Um, yeah, I definitely want to do it again. And maybe next time it'll be more of like, okay, let me see if there is a romantic. Because this one was more of, I really just wanted to do the experience.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, it might actually work. And,
Yeah.
depending on like,
Well, now next time when you go, you'll know what to expect. You know what to look for. And so maybe you'll be a little bit more on top of your game. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. Because this one, I really didn't take it serious. So. And I didn't even give Malibu my number. That's the thing. I gave her the email address. I mean, not the email, the name of the podcast, but I didn't give her any other information.
Well, she's going to write in.
Yeah,
Remember?
maybe I missed an opportunity there. Again, like anything else, I can deal with rejection, but
The
I don't
not
know.
knowing. That's probably,
That's worse. Yes, I
yeah.
will say that it's worse. But at the end of the day, I'm still gonna go with my intuition and think she probably wasn't as interested as I thought she was. So that's what I'm gonna tell myself so I can sleep at night.
She hated you.
But we'll always have that night,
Uh-huh.
Malibu and I. And technically, we went on a date. So
And glasses was there.
in glass, I went out with her friend too, by the way. So yeah, so I'm doing pretty good. So but no, it was fun. It was really, really fun. I had a great time and
Yeah.
definitely want to do that again.
Thank
So
you for sharing your experience.
yeah. Hey, I tell you what, if anybody else has any experiences and they want to write in, for sure, do that. Because I'm curious to see what it is on the other side. I
Mm.
really would like to hear how Malibu's night was. I'm telling you my experience,
Yeah.
but hers was, I'm sure,
It's like when you're
different.
making a documentary, we're giving the other person the chance to speak for themselves.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I want to ask her how she dealt with the creepy, David Spader lookalike and the creepy Ken doll. Like I'm curious to
Oh,
see
Biff?
Biff. Yeah, Biff.
Oh.
I really want to know how that went. Is it like how was Biff? Was he trying to be Rico Suave, like using cheesy pickup lines, or was I don't know, man. Again, I'm not knocking the dude for having the buttons open. If I had the bod, I suppose I might do it too, but I don't know. I
I
just
think it
felt
would
a
creep
little
out any
inappropriate.
woman, even if you're super jacked. What I'm picturing is creepy. I
Yeah, well,
don't
he had
maybe.
the little bedazzled jeans
Oh
on
no,
too, so you know
nope!
how
You
that
didn't tell
goes.
me that earlier,
Yeah, I forgot to
Biff.
mention that. Yeah, so it wasn't like he was dressed appropriately, exactly.
Oh,
Whatever
Biff.
that is, I don't know. I don't know. Again, if you have the body, sure. I'm not knocking the dude, but I don't know. I'm curious to know what women think. Obviously, I know what you think, but I'm curious to know what other women would think when guys are like that. So,
Mm.
anyways, yeah. Write in at here's the thing 214 at gmail.com or visit us on Facebook or LinkedIn and tell us what you think. Subscribe, tell a friend. Yeah, anything to support for sure. So had a great time.
Yes.
And like I said, if I do it again, maybe we'll do another speed dating and tell you how that went.
Part two.
Part two, yeah. But all right, till next time.
Bye.
All right, bye bye.